Thank you for taking the time today to join me here at the Waymaker. My hope is that your journey to God starts or even continues with this channel as we take one step closer to God each day together through sharing, learning, and contemplating His Word. Today, I want to take some time around the idea, the concept of hope. For me, I think hope means something different than perhaps you or perhaps many of us. We all may have our own thoughts around what hope means, especially given today's world. For me, hope means something better, or searching or waiting for something better. For me, hope is that call or that idea of what things were or could be, or perhaps what I feel should be. The way things were versus the way that they are now. That things could be better. I think we can safely say, when thinking about this, that the world we live in today is much more different than the world perhaps our parents grew up in or our grandparents. And I think, unfortunately, one could say that hope is even diminished to a degree or limited to a point given that context of the world that we live in today. I mean, I know when I think about it for myself, for me, there are often times I feel that way. I find myself hoping that things were different or should be different, that, asking or wondering, could we go back to a better time? Was there a better time, a better place where things didn't maybe seem so dark? Or why can't we not even create that better time, that better place now, given that we have, all these different advances? And so, for me, with social media, with mass media that we have now, the ease of information, the speed of information, or even when thinking about AI, the controlling of the message, or perhaps providing a means, or the means have been provided to create a level of corruption, the possibility of misinformation. Perhaps because of the world we live in now, we question more of what is real. And I think in essence, when that occurs, that diminishes the idea of hope, spiritual hope especially. Because for all its greatness in terms of technology, the speed, the ease of information, we now see the suffering in this world is more rampant than ever before, perhaps. We know it's not something we can turn a blind eye to. It's not something we can say we don't know. It's something that is there. It's not something that can be easily missed. Perhaps maybe even reflecting on what we see in this information-driven world, it's an expression of what the world has become, a world of self-serving, a world of some level of exploitation. And for me, this idea of self-serving, this exploitation, this diminished hope that I'm talking about, it can become dark. It can become very dark very fast if we allow ourselves to stumble down, a rabbit hole, a tangent, an outlier, if we allow ourselves to be distracted. This is, to me, an expression of evil, an evil that will always exist, but is much more prevalent or visible in the world that we live in today with the information, the technology that's out there. We just see it every day. And for me, this can become a heavy weight, a burden. And I think some could make the argument, because it's in our faces, the suffering that is in our world, that is our world today, can become numbing. And so we have to be careful with that. And then if we think about more on a personal side, perhaps this weight of darkness, suffering, diminished hope is something more personal. Perhaps it is someone who's become sick, a loved one, a friend, a family member, someone diagnosed with a disease, cancer perhaps, or something similar. And so the question might become, or could be, how can we even have hope for a better tomorrow with the weight of that world that I've described, or that personal weight and burden that we each carry ourselves? How can there be that better tomorrow, the hope for tomorrow, when we are burdened by so much? And so this is when I turn to scriptures, turn to the Bible, and I look at Romans chapter 12, verse 12. And very simply it says, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. Very simple, right? Very straight to the point, and something I want to dive into, but I also want to stay with Romans. Turning to chapter 15, verse 4, it says, for everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through the endurance taught in the scriptures and the encouragement they provide, we might have hope. And so when reading these two scriptures, thinking about it, letting myself kind of absorb it, I think God shares the knowledge with us up front. We will suffer, we will have trials, we will have tribulations that will be put before us, but he will provide the tools that we need to help us persevere. He knows that through our perseverance, we can develop faith, and through that faith in him, we can overcome all that this world has in store for us or put before us, all the challenges that we will have during our time on this earth. But if we seek his word through the tools, the Bible that he has provided, we will endure, we will exceed, and through our faith, we will find him, our hope. And so when I think about this, I know that he has hope in us. When I read these scriptures, when I let it be absorbed into my being. But then I have to ask the question, if he has hope in us, should we not have hope in him? And I find if you just read a little bit further, again, Romans chapter 15, verse 13, we find the phrase, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And so again, in reading these words, hearing these words, for me, I know my faith is filling. It is becoming my hope. My trust in God is my hope. That when I'm in doubt and I turn to him and I let him fill me with hope, when I let my faith grow, when I grow my faith with purpose, and I open up my heart to him and I let his love in, that Holy Spirit fills me and it guides me and it becomes my hope. When I open myself, when I trust in him, no matter how dark the day has become or will become, I can find hope through God. So in truth, with this, I find my path to God. That hope is the expression of faith and my faith in him. And so I ask you to open your heart to God and let him fill it with you. Let him fill your heart with a new hope, your soul with a new hope, your spirit, let that Holy Spirit in and gain that new renewed faith. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. Please help me spread these ideas, these thoughts, and leave a comment, subscribe, thumbs up. Your support is certainly welcome and encouraged.